Awesome. My name is Jonathan Hicks, the high school program manager for UTR. Just wanted to thank everybody for hopping on here this afternoon. I hope everybody's staying safe down in South Carolina, and just wanted to talk about what we'll discuss here. So I had about 12 or 13 coaches say that they were going to come on, so they'll probably be trickling on throughout. But really how I want to frame this call is the product we currently have available for high schools is completely free, and it was just as of September of 2019 what it is now. So if some on here maybe was using it about a year ago, the product is different now, much more user friendly. So if you say it wasn't user friendly a year ago, I'll agree with you. So that could be some things that we discuss here today, and I'll give a quick product overview. We'll have some discussions on how to help grow it in South Carolina. And like I said, we are currently talking to state associations across the country and continue to move things along, as I would assume most of the coaches in here probably know. Anytime you really introduce something new to a state, it takes a while. It takes a while to really get things going. But we do have many coaches in South Carolina already using it. They're kind of all over the place, and that's kind of where we are right now. So once again, for those that just kind of hopped on here, I want this to be engaging and let everybody speak a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just go down my list right here of the coaches that are on. And if you can just kind of introduce yourself, say what school you coach at, and then maybe just your experience with UTR so far. And if it's I activated my team and nothing else, or if it's all my matches were posted from last school year, if you can just kind of maybe give a few second overview of your experience so far. That said, I'll start with just the first name on my list, and that is Brooke.
Yeah, I'm actually Donna Butler, but I'm using my daughter's computer. So that's what I coach at Hanahan High School. I know about UTR, but I have such a beginner team that only one person could have been rated. And tennis in the low country is much more advanced. It would be beneficial for my kids. However, the teams we play, they're really, really good compared to my kids are very beginnerish. So I thought it'd be useful for kids to pick up matches in community or even with other kids in other programs, but I haven't really used it because my kids aren't rated. They're so below that.
Oh, thanks for sharing. And the good thing is everyone can be rated. So even if they're lower rated players, they can still be rated. So that'd be one thing with getting scores up. Even if they're not rated highly, they'd still be rated. So we'll kind of discuss that later on. But thanks for sharing. The next one on my list is Melanie Beckler.
Hi, I'm one of the coaches over at May River High School. I mostly coach the boys, and we use UTR extensively. I have all my kids listed, even the ones that aren't rated, I still list them, because then by chance, if they happen to play somebody during a match that is a UTR rating, then it bounces them into a rating. I also coach junior team tennis, and I list all those matches. I also list all the challenge matches on the high school level in between the kids. And I also host some UTR tournaments, and it definitely helps in that too.
Awesome.
I'm a big proponent of it, especially for girls. There's so many college scholarships out there for girls. Your girls that are a UTR 3 can get a college scholarship. People have to push it though. You have to really push it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Melanie. And we'll have charts and graphs. It sounds like you've already seen them that I will show during this call. So thank you for sharing that. And then I'll go with John Nance.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So John Nance, Florence, South Carolina. I am not a high school coach, so I'm not sure how fortunate I was to get this invitation. But so basically, I'm an ex-USPTA tennis professional. I'm the chairman of the Florence Tennis Association Junior Development Committee, but I'm also the co-chair of the Boys and Girls High School tournament that we have every year in the spring and the fall. So that's probably my link to connection to this. My daughter is a junior player. We've been doing UTR since she was in the 12. So I'm excited about expanding it. I know with our high school tournament, we ask the coaches to just self-rate their teams on a scale from 1 to 5. And it would be nice someday to be able to use UTR to give teams a rating as they would come in to play in our tournament. So nice to be here.
Interesting. Yeah, John, we can probably talk further. We can touch base after the call about what we can do there.
Okay,
yeah,
sounds
thanks for
great.
sharing. How about John Parker?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm John Parker. I'm at Daniel High School near Clemson, South Carolina in the upstate. And I've kind of used UTR. I never had a problem with UTR per se. My only problem is just getting other coaches. You know, in other words, I play a match, and if the other coach doesn't have their players in there, at least based on my past experience, I can't get them connected. But I just love it. I mean, it just, like you said, any kid can have a rating. And I'd never thought of using it with challenge matches. So if that's something, even my younger kids, I could do that. But just, it's another way to inspire the kids because it's a rating, you know. And so they may be ranked number 10 on my team, but they could be bumping up their UTR. So that was my only discouragement, is just with other coaches. So from what you're saying, there may be which I don't think was that complicated, but the easier you can make it, I think the better to get more involved with that.
Yeah, John, thanks for sharing. Yeah, like I said, we're continuously trying to make it as easy as possible. In regards to the experiences you've had, that's pretty much anywhere where we do not have a state mandate, that's really the number one difficulty that we're running into, is other coaches not willing to put in that minute to post scores. We understand coaches have a lot of things going on, a lot of different administrative things they have to do, and we do understand that. But that is the number one thing, and we're having more webinars like this, more educational pieces to try to help with that. And then by educating more and more coaches, we are doing that, and they kind of educate other coaches, and that's how we grew in Texas to about 900 schools. You know, just real quick. You know, we are just educating that ways, and coaches helping other coaches. So thanks for sharing. We'll kind of get into that here in a little bit. The next one on my list is Blaine.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey guys, I'm Blaine. I'm down at Walkmore High School, down at Pawleys Island, South Carolina. For me, UTR, I've got a pretty good team. We've used UTR to kind of help with some scheduling, making sure that the teams that we're playing or that we're sending the right squad to play, or and then the other way we're using UTR is I'm trying to keep some of my tournament kids engaged in high school tennis. I'm having a tough time keeping the team together year after year because the competition between tournament play and high school tennis. So I'm using UTR as an opportunity to try and keep them engaged. And I've really started to try and look at finding some UTR type tournament to up the level of play that we're able to find. So it's been fairly useful so far.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing, Blaine. And yeah, that's what you can actually filter, by your state or location or wherever, and you can find matchups and see what schools are on. So I'm glad that you've taken use of that feature. And we'll show that to other coaches on here as well. Right on. And then looks like the DT Siegel.
Todd Siegel. I'm boys and girls at Spartanburg High School. And the only time I have my team on, but the only time we've really ever used it's when we played the high school nationals in Chattanooga. They use it as their way to seed teams and then to up the players' rankings as well.
Thanks for sharing that. And then the last one on my list is Matthew.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm Matthew Adzima. I actually am coaching Myrtle Beach, both the girls and the guys. It was my first year coaching the boys last year, but due to COVID, that kind of ended quite shortly. So I'm fairly new. I'm coaching the girls, hopefully this fall, if that's the case. I'm not a huge, I don't know too much about UTR, so that's kind of why I'm in this Google or the Zoom meeting, just to kind of pick everyone's brains on all of this. But I'm very somewhat familiar with it, but I've already learned so much in the past 3 minutes, so that's kind of why I'm here. And Coach Lynch, who was the prior coach before I was, his wife ended up sending me an email, so that's once again why I'm here.
Perfect, Matthew. Thanks for joining us. Really, so what I want to do now is just going to kind of for the next 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most, just kind of go over kind of a slideshow I have. It's just some information, and then I'm going to get into the product and just kind of just run through real quickly, adding players to your roster and posting scores, just so everybody can see that. If anybody has a question as I'm going, feel free to stop me. But for the next 10 minutes or so, I'll get into that, and then really just leave the rest of the time open for questions, because that's what I really want to be sure to answer any questions everyone has. And then that'll be about it. So I'll just get in. I'm going to share my screen here and get over this. And like I said, feel free to stop me if you have questions along the way, and then go over this kind of PowerPoint briefly, because I don't want to bore anyone. I want to just really get into the product. So really kind of, what we're trying to do is, bring 348,000 high school tennis players together to the greater tennis community. So that's really our goal here, because high school tennis players are easily the most disconnected group to the greater tennis community. So that's why this product is completely free. It's the gold standard of college recruiting. Colleges, coaches are on here and looking at here every day, looking at players. Before COVID, now that we're all actually working remote right now, but before COVID, I share an office with our college program manager, and he's talking to college coaches, and they need players. I know one coach on here said, especially for girls, there are college opportunities available, whether you're in D1 or D3, or you're getting a full ride, or getting free tutoring, being a part of the team, getting free gear. There's opportunities out there. So just some of the other benefits too is you can count practice and challenge matches to help players build their tennis profile, scout opposing team matchups, help solve stacking problems, seed tournaments more accurately and objective. And then also we have our easy to use tournament management and dual match software for free. There's over 10,000 coaches out there currently using it. I'll go ahead and skip that one right now. This is just one player that we have a case study on how he paved a pathway to college. He played 4 years at Waco Midway High School in Texas. As I said earlier, we have a very, very large presence in Texas in the high school space. Their high school results counted towards UTR. He was unable to play in USTA tournaments because it conflicted with his work schedule, and now he's currently playing on a scholarship at Ottawa University, just based on high school results. So we'd love to get to that point in South Carolina as well. This is just a quote that I wanted to share. That this is from the events and operations coordinator of CIF San Diego. What he is they went about a year ago or year and a half ago, they went fully involved. They went full into UTR, kind of went in there head first, and they have their schedules, their rosters, kind of their one-stop shop for everything. About 90 boys teams, 90 girls teams, and they use us for all tournament seating and everything, and it's just been a huge success so far. Here's kind of that college overview, as one coach earlier spoke about, just showing all those college opportunities out there. As you can see on the male side, 56% of college men are between a 3 and 10. 60% of college women are between a 2 and a 7 UTR. So there really are college tennis opportunities for players of all levels. So I think when I show this graph, it really does surprise a lot of people what a coach posting high school results, how it could really, really change the life of a tennis player. This is just kind of that same chart. a little bit just more broken down by D1, D2, D3, and AIA. Just show briefly what that looks like. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the product right now and show what the College Fit tool looks like.
Noah, come here.
Which is a free feature for players, coaches, parents. Just need to create a UTR profile. What this can do is based on your location and what your UTR is and gender, you can find a college fit. You can be in here looking all over. So I'll go ahead and just put South Carolina for this call. And we'll say within, you can put in with a certain mileage. Apply. And then you can enter what your UTR is, what you want it to be, what you think it will be, and where you can fit into a lineup. So for the sake of this, I'll just put a 9 and see what options come up in South Carolina. You can see all these different opportunities. But what you can do, I'll go ahead and click on Limestone College. But what this next is going to show is where their 1, their 2, their 3, and all the way to 6 stacks up versus the rest of the conference. So this could be a way to see, oh, if they're graduating their top 3 players, I could go in and play right away. You like that coach, or you just want to see how their team stacks up. As you can see right here, this is Limestone College. I think it was the men, I believe. Men's D2. And they are their pink dot is where their 1 is. And then the pink dot's where their 2 is. So it looks like they're about probably middle of the road in terms of the conference. Maybe this is the school you're looking at. Their top players are sophomore, senior. So a couple players might be leaving, which now is a little different because of COVID. So NCAA is a little crazy right now with some players going to stay and some are going to go. So a little bit different right now, but in general, you'll know what players are leaving. And then maybe you see their 6 right here is a 6.28, and maybe you can go in there and start right away as a freshman. So just a really cool feature to go in and look at and play around with. We have I know a lot of parents like using this tool for their son or daughter. They'll probably use it more than anyone. Next, what I will going to get into briefly is the team compare tool for high school. What this is a way to kind of help solve stacking problems and just scout an opposing matchup. I coached in Ohio for 2 years, so our spring season was at the end of March. We started, but March and beginning April, we would get snow outs and rain outs. But then come May, we were playing 5 matches a week. So then maybe our coach, I could sit out our 1 if we were going to have an easier matchup, maybe on Wednesday, and we were going to have I knew my 1 was going to have a 3-set battle on Thursday. You can actually drag and drop and just see what a lineup could potentially look like. We have coaches that will use this feature and kind of print it off or screenshot it or pull it up when they're at a match and just see what a coach says in the lineup. If it's a coach that maybe has historically a stacking problem, hopefully there's not too many in South Carolina, but we all know that is an issue some places more than others. So you could kind of, if you have maybe down here, you see someone who's a 5.29 playing their 1 or their 2 over some of these players, there's a good chance there's an issue. I know it's a little bit awkward. It's kind of hard to confront, but just another tool to help prevent those as much as possible with those issues. But mainly the whole purpose is really to scout lineups, and we have some coaches that will take a picture of this and tweet it out and say we're having a good matchup on Wednesday. So just it's a good feature for high school coaches and can use. The next thing what I'm going to do is I'm kind of on a team page. This is a team in Texas. You can go ahead and put in your team logo and your banner. You can add a banner picture. And I'm just going to show quickly how to add players and post scores, just in case anyone doesn't feel that comfortable in here yet or just want to see a quick rundown of it again. So you can see the add players button right here is when you want to add to your roster. There's 2 different ways you can do it. If your player already has a UTR profile, it's very easy. You can click their name and click next, add their graduation year. and add member to the roster. Then that player is on your roster, and you can move on to the next. The other way to do so is you can invite that new player. This is, you can enter their email, and they will receive an email saying, Coach Hicks invited you to your roster, South Lake Carroll High School. Create your profile here and to be added onto the roster. They will not be added onto your roster until they have that profile created, though. And that's really the biggest step when it comes to getting coaches on UTR, is really just getting those player profiles for their players created and getting them on their roster. That's the biggest step to be taken, because once that's done, the hard part's over, because we know sometimes players will take a little while to actually do it. That's why we have the invite player tool to help kind of speed that process along.
Hey, John.
Yes.
I have a player that was UTR rated last year. She's going on to college, but I don't believe she's going to play college tennis. But she can still have that rating, correct? The UTR rating?
Great question. Thanks for asking. And that's great for anyone who wants to play tennis on campus. Your profile is with you forever.
Okay.
So you don't, it's not just for high school. These players will still have their player profile, because it's completely free, and they'll have it, and it really connects them to the greater tennis community for life.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course. The next thing I'm going to show is kind of how to post practice and challenge match scores, which is just using that post scores button. What that can do is just really kind of help build their tennis profile. The match results will go onto their player profile, and parents can track, players can track, coaches can track progress. It's really great for parents, because they can ask, how'd you do in practice today? Or I'm sure a lot of coaches in here have heard, why is so-and-so playing over my son or daughter at 3 singles? They can go on and look right on their profile and say, well, they lost the challenge matches to them the last 2 times they played, or whatever that is. It's a great tool for that, as well as really any coach that maybe isn't doesn't have the highest tennis IQ, which I don't think that's anyone on here, but maybe that math teacher or science teacher who's helping out the AD the day before tryouts, and they needed a tennis coach. Kind of took the job. This could actually help them set lineups and help the players as well. So how this actually works, I'm just going to click the first 2 that come up for the sake of this. You just find the player's name for posting practice or challenge match scores, and then you just put in the score, whatever it is, whether it's a pro set, fast 4, best 2 or 3, doesn't matter. You can post the score. And then I know a lot of places, I'm not sure, South Carolina, they have a 10-point tiebreaker in the 3rd set. You can just put 1-0 as the game score, and the tiebreak score does appear. And then you post the score, and post score button. And that's all it is for posting practice and challenge match scores. Last thing I want to show here real quick, and then I'll start taking questions, is the number one thing is dual matches. That's the biggest thing that the majority of coaches will use this for. So the green or the teal create event button, it's going to ask if this is an official high school event or other. So any official high school event, completely free. Verified results. Click dual match. And then this is a big one too. So the opponent high school. So you search for the opponent. If they do not appear, that means they are not activated on UTR. And that is the number one problem with coaches, is the opposing coach just doesn't activate their profile. And to report scores, they do have to do so. Reason being, for the UTR, the algorithm, you can't report a score against no one because it doesn't do anything. And I get that question a lot. Why can't you still report scores? It doesn't mean anything. There's no way to rate a player if they're playing no one. So that it is really important it's why we're kind of hosting a lot of webinars like this to help coaches, and kind of spread the education around, just showing the free product available. So you can put the date, time, location, and you can hit create. I already have the match created right here. As you can see, you see Waco Midway High School versus South Lake Carroll. This is a Texas school where it's co-ed, so it looks a little bit different. So for South Carolina, it's just going to say singles or doubles. And then it's very easy. You see the drop down. Once your players are all on your roster, it is going to be sorted by UTR. So you can play the one singles, have each other. Then you can put in the score just like before. I won't do it right now. But as you can see, based on however many matches there are, you can delete matches. There's only 3 singles, or you can add more as well. And the same goes for doubles. I'm going to scroll down and just show it's the same thing right here. And the score is the same way. And at the end, you can go ahead and hit publish to post a score. But before you do so, you can put the final dual match scores at the top as well, whether it's 4-3, 6-3. We don't actually do anything with that, but I know coaches like to see that, players like to see that and everything. But we do not ourselves do anything with that. Other than that, really just kind of what I've talked about is what our goals, our goals are in the high school space, especially in this year one when between COVID and the product not being completely ready for fall. This is kind of our goals here this is really a true year one for this product. We're trying to get spread statewide when the majority of players are rated, better seeding. This is just going to help tournaments seed more accurately, solve stacking problems. And then seeding meetings, I'm not sure about in South Carolina specifically, but everyone talks about how they're a nightmare, kind of cut down the time on that, just have them be more objective and save coaches time and headaches. And then also just more education. We do webinars like this all the time. And then to help coaches, parents, and players. And then also the big thing for players is just having them become aware of the accessible college opportunities available to them. So with that being said, I know I've been talking for about the last 15 minutes, so I want everybody to leave the time the next 15 minutes, be respectful of everyone's time, and just answer questions that everyone has. So I'll kind of open it up from there.
Jonathan,
Yes.
have you talked to anybody with the South Carolina High School League? Because we have like a rules meeting. They usually do the ladies in the fall. I would assume that's coming up soon, although I know the ladies season is up in the air when it'll start. But we also have a guys meeting. But to me, if they could promote this and get the coaches involved in that, that would be the first step. Because like I said, that's my biggest issue is just having coaches that were involved.
Yes, we have, but it's kind of went quiet as of late. But I think that's partially because of COVID as well. I'm trying to think of who I spoke with. Was it Amy? Maybe does that ring a bell?
I think her name's Amy Boozer. I think
Yes.
she's the one that's over it. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So
I
actually,
was at one of those meetings too last year, and they did. They tried to inform everybody, but again, the problem was, did people really sign up? They didn't. So, and this year, like our season is in jeopardy, but we, there's some interested coaches, but just getting the word out again is foremost, I think.
Coach Siegel, you got anything to say on that? I know you've been doing this for a long time.
I'm the old man of the group. Now, I was going to say something. I spent 2 years as president of the South Carolina Tennis Coaches Association, and we have promoted it. It appeared to fall on deaf ears upon the coaches. I know there were about 4 of us that did it.
Yeah.
Not Amy, the Hilton head coach. I can't think of her name. It's Jennifer. Actually had a sponsor that was willing to pay the fees for the state individual tournament, but the high school league turned that down. It kind of falls, I hate to say it, they're not going to do much to help with the matter.
Okay.
It's going to have to be the coaches to do it individually, but I feel like we would have a stronger state singles tournament, boys and girls, if they got ranking points.
Okay.
Mm.
I know in the upstate, I have done it, and Rob Spencer at TL Hanna has been on it, and we were about the only two around that was consistently. And when we played each other, we would post scores.
Yeah. Hmm. And that's me. I mean, we were 4A last year. We're going down to 3A, although we're pulling some guys down with us. But around our 3A, it's just hard. So, I mean, just that's something, Jonathan. I want to put him in touch with you, and I'm going to push it because I will have a new region this year. Some different coaches, some of the same coaches, but I mean, it's a no-brainer in my opinion.
And the rules meeting has been canceled this year.
It has been. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Mm.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'll reach out to everyone, or feel free to reach out to me as well after this call. And what we're doing right now is I'm out getting webinars just like this for conferences. So like conferences and leagues, trying to get everyone together saying, you know, once you can get someone on a call and it's like, oh, if you do it, then, you know, if you have 4 or 5 coaches in the league say, well, I'll do it, then majority, you know, you might have that 1 or 2 kind of stragglers, but, you know, majority kind of start to come together once they all hear all the other coaches support it. So I'm more than happy to start. Go ahead.
I was at one of your selling points that I didn't know you could use it for this, and maybe you already have, but it would be my ignorance, I guess. I've never used it for challenge matches.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's
I never did either.
that's one of the hardest things to keep up with. And that's what people will call you on, you know, if they question your lineup. So, I mean, to me, that's an extra part I did not know about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely would do my, you know, challenge. And I assume there's a way to print those out so that I could actually have my challenge matches right there. And I don't know, is there a way to keep up with a ladder on there? That's the other thing they're big on, which if not, that's okay. But I think just push those challenge matches. That's huge.
Yeah, for sure. And that is one thing we are doing. So if you haven't heard of it, I mean, we're definitely pushing it because, you know, not just coaches and stacking and, you know, players and parents too, you know, it stays on the kid's profile and then parents can see it. It won't practice and challenge matches. They're not considered, you know, the verified rating, but they still show up on the player profile.
Yeah.
So if any coach questions and, you know, they see these challenge matches on UTR, I would say they're going to understand they're valid, because if a kid gets credited for a loss and they won, we know usually pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things I see, I've been doing this 25 years. I'm probably one of the longest running high school coaches in South Carolina. There's about maybe 2 that's been doing it longer, is the consistent turnover within coaches. Yeah. It's constantly new people here, new people there. So I think that's been one of the harder things to find consistency within coaching as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something we're always switching over team pages on our end because coaches leave after 1 or 2 years. So I understand it gets to be more difficult when you're trying to get groups of coaches together on a call, and you know, you find out 2 or 3 of your conference coaches left. So that is more difficult getting everybody on board. And when it comes to our end, it's very easy to switch things over, but it's really a tracking down that right coach. So that's a very, very good point, and we do understand that.
But for me, Jonathan, now I have you as a contact. So, you know, well, I'm just saying, as I get new coaches or as I talk to coaches, as opposed to me, I'm like, listen, you know, let's talk to this guy with UTR and, you know, just give him your email. And I think that could be huge to get them on board. And if they're having problems loading, then, you know, you or someone, you know, for UTR can get them hooked up with that. So I think that would be huge as well.
100%. Yeah. So feel free to share my contact information with all coaches. And then, you know, we can also schedule a time if everybody, I think John, you said you're going to a new division or new league, you know, it's another thing. If people are close, coaches are close with your conference or league, we can schedule one of these too. And I just did one, and I just did a webinar like this last Monday, and we just went in and we started with activating your team. We just did the full walkthrough of everybody go to this. I put a link into the chat. Everybody go here and activate your team now. So we would take this call and even start from the complete basics and walk through everybody on how to add players and show the whole thing. We all do it together. So I've done many, many of those. I'm more than happy to help and continue to do those in your conferences as well.
I have a question for you, Jonathan.
Yes.
Have you approached the high school, the private league in South Carolina? And I'm wondering if you've had more success with the private school leagues as opposed to public school leagues. We play kind of a hybrid schedule of both, and it's helpful in scheduling matchups that way.
I am not sure who, if you have the correct contact. I've reached out to so many. That's sometimes, like you said, the turnover. I might have been reaching out to some of the wrong people. In regards to the public school league, I am not sure. So if you do have any contact, I'm more than happy to do so. If you knew the right person to, if you can forward me that information, it'd be great.
Okay.
If you know the right person.
Yeah, I'll send you an email.
Perfect. Thanks. So it sounds like kind of, the majority is on here. It's really just getting everybody activated. That's the number one thing we run into is, spreading the word. And like I said, it's a new product as of the middle of last fall season. And so we weren't ready at the beginning of last fall, and then come spring here now, South Carolina. Did you guys get any matches in? A couple matches before COVID hit, maybe?
We played 3.
Yeah, we got 3. We got 3 in at Waccamaw.
More than the Midwest and the East Coast. They didn't get any. But yeah, so like I said, I'll reach out to everyone following this call too, and I'd love to schedule time with conferences and try to get more people connected. I'll definitely keep working at your state association level. We're doing that across the country, and things move slowly. A lot of boards have to approve things, and long process. But anybody have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I want to talk to you, Jonathan, after the meeting about some stuff. Maybe you can give me a call on my cell or something.
Yeah, of course. Or you can just stay on too if everybody leaves.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Looks like that might be it. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on, talk a little tennis. Hopefully we can get this season rolling with as little problems as possible. Who knows what's going on right now. But, I would like to connect with everyone. We can try to work to get your conferences setting time. And any introductions would be much appreciated. I'm more than happy to help any coach get started, as well as if anybody wants to set some time with me, we can talk about that too. But other than that, thanks everybody for joining, and have a great evening and stay safe down in South Carolina.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, John, are you still on?
Yes.
Hey, can we stay on just a second?
Yeah.
Hey, John Nance here. So let me ask you something. Under this college fit, I'm having a hard time getting anything to come up. Can you walk me through that just real quick?
Of course. Do you have a profile created? What's the issue that you're running into?
So what do I do first? Do I go to my daughter's profile first, or do I just go to colleges under the homepage?
Yes. So if you click the search bar, you'll click the search bar and then you click colleges. Do you see where it comes up in teal?
Yep.
So click colleges.
Right. And then it comes up location, gender, division, conference.
Yeah. So
okay.
if you were not a power subscriber, the division and conference, those you will not be able to filter, but you can still filter by location, gender, and then the UTR college fit.